We got meetings tomorrow, Monday.
What's up, everybody? I'm Russ. I'm an alcoholic. That is not good.
Oh, that's sorry, Brother Russ. It's good.
That's what Russ does, though. Last but not least, we got a meeting here called Leadership and Toxic Timidity. And Jack and Mike are going to be our speakers on that. So I used to really have leadership confused with being a boss in my head. I just did. I just used to have it confused with being a boss, like you told people what to do, and that's just not really what leadership is. That is just not what leadership is. The biggest topic here is or the bigger topic in my opinion, is the toxic timidity. I remember when I used to go to meetings, I would sit in meetings and I would go along with what everybody said just because I wanted to fit in, even if I knew in my heart of hearts it was wrong. Okay? And that's not what being a leader is. Okay? It's my responsibility to share my experience, strength, and hope, whether it conflicts with somebody else's experience, strength, and hope or not. Okay? That's my job as a member, a member in good standing in Alcoholics Anonymous. Without anything further from me, I will give you Jack. I will give you Cowboy Jack to start.
Thanks, Russ. Thank you, Russ. Hello, my name's still Jack. I'm still an alcoholic. My sobriety date's still March 9th, 1987. Okay. And I am more than grateful to be here with you. I'm supposed to talk on leadership, and today I don't know much about that. I used to be quite active in this fellowship, and I met a beautiful woman. Actually, re-met her. She had just gotten divorced a year prior from her husband, the fellow that I had sponsored for a while. So actually, Bob Darrell came and spoke at a weekend, and he said, "Jack, do you know that you don't sponsor Bob anymore?" I said, "No, I didn't know that." So he said, "Well, now you do." So a while after that, they divorced, and a year after they divorced, she came up to me around Founders Day. She said, "Jack, how about taking me for a ride on that motorcycle?" I said, "Oh yeah, sure." And kind of blew her off. Well, Labor Day comes around, and she said, "Hey, what about my ride?" So I took her for a ride, and we spent a couple nights together, innocent nights together. And she was a great gal. I had known her, geez, close to 30 years, 25 years anyhow. And I always thought highly of her. And I ended up going out to Colorado. I was going to move out there, and I spent about 2 weeks at her house. She rented me a room for a couple of weeks while I was finishing up some business here and get my stuff stowed away. And I was gone for just a few months. I left in October, rode my bike out, came back, flew back, got my car and drove back out. And I was out there about 2 months in January. I moved back here and rented that room from her. And about 6 months later, I ended up buying a house. Rehabbed the house. In October, we moved into the house. She had her bedroom and I had my bedroom. That's how it was for over 3 years. We stayed like that. We became close friends. And we had a little skirmish, if you will. A little stuff going on between us, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about that. We finally figured it out, and we married. And about the time that we married, I kind of withdrew from pretty solitary in my life since about 1982. It was when I left my last wife, and things really got crazy. I had a number of years that I had no place to comfortably call home, and I hitchhiked around the country, and life got pretty miserable. And then finally I got sober, and after I got sober, I started to change a little bit. But I still stayed sober. I mean, I traveled quite a bit being high voltage transformers between Pennsylvania, Florida, Texas, and North Dakota. When I lost my place to live down in the valley, put my horse in the trailer and the dog in the shotgun seat, and we went out and rode the Tetons, Yellowstone, Shoshone National Forest, the Black Hills, the La Gritas, the Manzanas, the Sandios, the Pecos, the Ozarks, and just spent a lot of time horseback in the mountains, and really pretty solitary time. And so whenever I had an opportunity to be with somebody that I knew was a classy woman and had put up with an awful lot in her previous marriage, and I had an opportunity to be a friend and a life partner to somebody with what I considered a high quality woman. I didn't want anything else. So I kind of retired from being visible in AA, and I had some people that I sponsored and still took people through the steps and still did some workshops with a half a dozen or a dozen people or so, kind of on the QT, doing the deal. And I didn't have a home group. It's something that I admire that Mike has done in our program, in our fellowship. And I see the results of it, and it's truly amazing to me. I'm envious of all of you. I think you belong to a great home group. I've been circling it for a while now. Mike reached out to me in my loss, and I still have trouble with the grief. It's been over a year, and I think I should be past it, but there's no past it. It's a continual trudge, and it's not easy, but I'm grateful to be here with you today and to be able to talk about something that I think is important, and I think that to be able to trudge through this is important, and I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for your outstretched arms and your compassion. You're awesome, folks. So, about leadership. Like I said, I don't know too much about that, but I do know this, that, and I'm not supposed to talk about this, but I'm gonna anyhow. If you'll notice, today, I don't have the other. Yes. So, what this is a copy of the fly paper that used to wrap around our book. And you know that today, most places, we can't go into a treatment center. When I came back here to Akron in 1986 and 87, any given day, there'd be a dozen guys with over 30 years sobriety sitting down at St. Thomas, smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee and talking to people in the ward. And it was a place where we could go to work with another alcoholic. We're not allowed there today. We're not allowed. And you'll notice, like I said, on the back of the old fly paper that wrapped around our books, it tells us first I think it's forward to the second edition, that in the 16 years from 1939 to whatever it was, 16 years when the second edition came out, that we had 300,000 books from the first edition. And from that 300,000 books, we got over 150,000, it says well over 150,000 recovered, not recovering, but recovered alcoholics. On the back of this book, on the fly sheet, it tells us approximately 21 million copies of the first 3 editions of Alcoholics Anonymous have been distributed. And when we go to the forward to the 4th edition, in the first paragraph, this is the 4th edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, came off the press in November of 2001 at the start of a new millennium. Worldwide membership of AA has about doubled to an estimated 2 million people. So how did we go from over a 50% batting average with our books to less than 10%? And it doesn't even call them recovered. What the hell has happened? Where did we drop the ball? We have a program that works perfectly. It worked in my life. I've seen it work in others' lives. What has happened? What has happened to us? Have we become so complacent that we don't care about our fellows? We don't care about our own well-being? We already know that we can't outgive God. He replaces everything that we need. He gives us more than we need. As we give away, as we help another, He's there to refill us every day on a daily basis. We've heard people talk about it all day long today, about God, how God has provided for us as we do this deal, as we go out and find the alcoholic and meet him where he is and show him how he can recover. He continues to provide for us. So, that's about all I have to say about that. I get a little riled up. Now then on this toxic business. And I don't have a whole lot to say about that, really. What I have to say about it is that I'm not going to talk about it. What I'm going to talk about is the service of passionate devotion. That we be passionate about a life-saving gift that He's placed in our hands. There's a little pamphlet, I've got a couple of them in my book over there, my book bag. And it says, the name of it is Why We Were Chosen. Why we were chosen. Why were we chosen? So I think this is why we were chosen. And if this offends people, these names that I'm going to use, I'm so sorry for you. Jesus did not say to make converts to your way of thinking, but he said to look after his sheep. We consider what we do in the way of Christian work and service, yet Jesus Christ calls service to be what we are to him, not what we do for him. On page 68, when it talks about fear, it says, we ask God what he would have us be, because we're human beings, not human doings. So whenever he calls us, asks us to ask what he would have us be, he would have us be his hands and feet. He's delivered us. It's up to us to see the next person gets his. That's all I have.
Thanks, Brian.
My name's Michael, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Michael.
Thank you very much, Jack. Yes, sir. Thanks for sharing, Jack. I've had some grief in my life, but broken relationships, or I had some sober. It's tough. So I can't say that I do know. I know everybody has their own time, and nobody knows when that is. Year, 2, 3, whatever it takes is what it takes. A little bit, one day at a time. So thanks for sharing. I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. It's the first time we ever did this. We kind of winged it. We didn't invite too many people, obviously. We did invite some new treatment center people. We kind of restricted it to the lineage to some degree. And so not to be like, sometimes the church is for the church people. We don't like to be that way, but this is kind of like that for us. We did this for us, and obviously by the speakers, you know that the most important thing to us is to carry the message, not only to the newcomer, but to the still sick and suffering alcoholic. And so I'd like to thank everybody who came up here, in the morning. Newer guys kind of went, and it kind of progressed as that. And the cool thing about it is, although we didn't think of it that way, the topics really rolled into each other, which is quite amazing to me to see. And some of the talks that I've heard today has been very touching, and some of them are tearjerkers, and make me think and consider things a little bit differently. And the topic being leadership and toxic timidity. It's 2024, and we're up against it. I mean, it's just what it is. And I'm not here to offend anybody. I'll share my experience and what I believe, and I'm going to use our literature. So if you get mad at me, you can just get mad at the damn literature. Our tradition says in Alcoholics Anonymous, there are no leaders, right? There are no leaders. We are trusted servants. I get that. I 100% get that. There's a great role model by our Savior, or my Savior, that role model servant leadership. The greatest role model ever. I think I was talking to Aaron about that. I said, me and you can pick people up, but we ain't dying. We ain't getting killed for it. We spend our money, we spend our own money, we spend our gas, our time, and we give of ourselves in whatever way as servants by all means. Recently in our home group, we had what we talk about and what would be expected, which would be some opposition. And opposition, maybe, we know we have outside opposition. We can kind of deal with that, right? Like if I'm walking down the street and some stranger says, hey Mike, you're a real piece of trash. Me and Russ were walking together, we'd laugh at the guy. We didn't know who he was, right? It would be no big deal. But if it was Sean who said, hey Mike, you're a real piece of trash, it hurt and it felt a little bit different because it's close, right? So the opposition that comes from within is quite a bit more divisive. Call it what it is. It's just quite a bit more divisive. We had some members of our home group that they observed. And are they welcome to observe? You are welcome to come to primary purpose, sign in a home group, and never do a single thing. And we'll say hi to you every single week, and we'll give you respect and dignity. I don't know how you're going to be able to deal with that. I know I wouldn't be able to deal with it well. And so that's what happened here at our home group. Is we had some people in our home group that had an idea how things should be, and then they never did anything. They didn't lift a chair. They didn't they didn't make some coffee. They didn't give nobody no rides. They didn't do nothing. They did nothing. They came and sat, and they're welcome to do that. Instead of coming to sit and accepting that they're coming to sit and they haven't done anything, they started to get resentful at even the new guys. And you're talking long-term sober dudes, God bless them, getting resentful at the 2-month sober guy because he's kicking butt and taking names, right? And you've heard before that all I got to do is I'm just one drink away from drunk. Is that true? Maybe. But if I got a guy who's 2 months sober, who goes to the meeting and then goes to another meeting, and then 5 minutes early, leaves the time the meeting's over, don't do nothing, don't work on steps, don't pray his prayers, and then I got another guy who's 2 months sober that comes to the meeting an hour early, sets the meetings up, puts the chairs out, makes the coffee, makes sure all the lights are on, the temperature's right, making sure the literature's out. How can you tell me that them two people are the same distance away from the drink if they're not? They're just not. You see? And so they sat in our group and they did that, and instead of contributing, you've heard it said that I would tell my guys to get to contribute, damn it. That's my go-to saying. Get to contribute, be a part of, get some ownership, have some belonging here. They got resentful. And we pray, like you've seen this morning how we started out in prayer. We do that almost, the only time we don't do that is on accident, when we're talking about something outside and we forget. But usually, always the prayer is because we have struggled so much, and because we have chronic relapsers, we have seen what it's like, and we know and we respect something or somebody or powers that be's ability to be divisive. Right? If unity is the goal, and if unity is of God, and as a result of our unity, people are getting sober, lives are changing, Sean's visiting his kids, Russ is going fishing, Aaron's making amends, Steve's getting a new job, blah, 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 whatever's going on. As a result of this unity, these great and magnificent miracles are happening, then what the opposite is, obviously, division. And so we had some division. Right? We had some division in our group. It's to be expected. And to think that everything is going to be hunky-dory all the time is quite naive. Right? And so the program warped, I would say, if I just warped this tradition that in Alcoholics Anonymous we have no leaders but trusted servants. Right? And I could use that as an excuse to be apathetic. I don't care. Cause a whole hell of a lot of problems in my own group. It don't matter to me that Sean visits his kids, and Russ is going fishing, and Steve's getting a new job, and so-and-so's getting married. I don't care. I'm not going to rock the boat. Well, you got the wrong guy. You got the damn wrong guy. I remember when I was about 5 years sober, a member of Alcoholics Anonymous said, you know what happens at 5 years sober? I said, what? They said, you get the courage of your convictions. I've never heard that before, right? Had no idea what that meant. My experience is that we are responsible. If you've been rescued from the yawning jaws of death, we are called to do different things, and we all have fingerprints in a different individual. And God is big enough to be working on the people in Japan and Alaska right now, and He's big enough to be working with us, not as a whole all the time, but individually, which is quite amazing. And so you are called, each and everybody in here is called, and you are responsible and accountable to carry the message of Alcoholics Anonymous. And sometimes what that means is you have to take a stand against some things. And sometimes it means you have to be strong enough or secure enough in your sobriety, in our literature, in the program that rescues people's lives, to take a stand for it. That's just how that is. It's not a great, this is no great psychobabble. This is common sense. Right? Now, the rest of the program and the temptation of the world would say that I'm supposed to fall back, be timid, not rock, have no personality, and have no face. Right? Just serve all the time. Just serve. Now I serve a lot. I've never not been busy in Alcoholics Anonymous ever. Even when I was doing bad, I was busy in AA. Right? And so what would it look like if I didn't have a personality and I couldn't serve and be and contribute in the way that God made me to be able to do it? Right? So I'm called to be a leader, and so are you. Now, it doesn't mean boss, right? And I think the real trick with going back to the tradition of we have no leaders but trust and servants, you are 100% free to never take the lead, and you are 100% free to never let nobody else lead. You could come in here and sit and drink the coffee and never even put a damn dollar in the basket if you want to. And we'll welcome you, and we'll be nice to you. And we'll shake your hand, and we'll have you at the meeting, and we'll try to have conversations with you. We're going to treat you with respect and dignity, I guarantee it. But you miss the mark. You miss. You see, now I'm going to read a couple things, and all this comes from the language of the heart. And the first thing I'm going to read is kind of just to back up a little bit what I said. It says, we are apt to warp the traditional idea of principles before personalities around to such a point that there would be no personality in leadership whatsoever. This would imply a rather faceless automatons trying to please everybody regardless. You can't please everybody regardless. At other times, we are quite as apt to demand that AA's leaders must necessarily be people of the most sterling judgment, morals, and inspiration. Big doers, prime examples to all, and practically infallible. And the literature wrote that because those are two polar opposites, right? And I'm telling you today that you're not to be either one. And so somewhere in the middle means taking a stand, right? Somewhere in the middle means I'm going to have to stand flat-footed somewhere, and somehow it's going to be required of me. The most important thing about taking a stand is if I'm placing the common welfare of my home group and of Alcoholics Anonymous before my own welfare, how could I possibly place the common welfare of Alcoholics Anonymous and never have controversy and never have conflict? How could you possibly do that? How could you possibly love a life-saving program and never have conflict with any spiritual or even physical people? It's not possible. I have not found it to be possible. Maybe you can. I just haven't found it. And maybe you hear this today and maybe you think, well, I've been ducking conflict. I've been ducking this. And maybe it's your charge to maybe take a stand. Or maybe you've been the opposite. Maybe you've been demanding. You've been overbearing and so forth and so on. And maybe it's telling you, and this convicts you to fall back a little bit. Good leadership originates plans, policies, and ideas for the improvement of our fellowship and its services. Good leadership never passes the buck. Do you pass the buck? I was in the basement, drinking rubbing alcohol, and dying. Dying. I know I was dying. I knew it. I said, I'm going to keep drinking this rubbing alcohol. It's going to kill me. But I couldn't stop. And I've been trying for years and years and years and years, and nothing worked. And guess what? I prayed to prayer. God, please help me. Guess where he brought me? Here. He brought me here. What did he bring me here for? So I can get Chevy? So I can get a motorcycle? He brought me here for, just like Jack was saying, so that I can help somebody else. The gift to get here is to give it away. You see? You cannot be convicted. I cannot be convicted of such a powerful charge and not at times have conflict with people. How are you going to do that? You can't. Is conflict scary? Absolutely. Who likes just running into conflict all the time? I don't. Matter of fact, if it was up to me, I would shy away from it, right? But the big book also in our literature says that I place principles before personalities. And sometimes them principles be me taking a stand for what I believe in. I looked in my literature, I talked to my sponsor, I talked to my peers. Something has to be done. Nobody else will do it. Damn it, I'm not going to pass the buck out with it. Right? When I first got sober, I went to the workshops that Jack mentioned. Right? I was part of the workshop. I had gotten another sponsor before that. He took me through the steps. I had enough step work enough step work where sanity had been restored to me. It's a 10-step promise. Right? And I was going about life in Alcoholics Anonymous, and what I noticed very quickly is that my experience was quite different from a lot of other people's. Is it bad or good? It's neither. It's just different. And so when I would call these people and say, I got a 10-step, they had no idea what the hell I was talking about. Right? No idea. Zero. None. And so guess what I did? I internalized that, and I felt like there was something majorly wrong with me. What do you mean? This big book, it's just real simple. It's written right in there. You got the same book as me. Do we got different books or something like that? What is going on here? Right? And I noticed quite early on that there was a difference. Right? And as soon as I spoke up about the difference, they tried to beat me down. Don't you say that. You're scaring people off. I'm legitimate. This is what, I remember I led down to Paradise Club and I brought up our primary purpose, and I had a line of people. Usually they come to say thank you. Not this damn meeting. They come to tell me that I ought not to talk about that. A line of people. I'm not supposed to talk about that because I'm chasing people off. Well, what do you mean I'm chasing people off? It's in our literature.
Making them comfortable.
Exactly. The big book, our tradition says that what's the enemy of the best? It's good. Good is the enemy of the best. The reason we have a primary purpose is so we can be the best at something. We don't have to settle for good. We have an amazing, loving creator that Jack said, you can't outgive him. Right? And so I am responsible for the life-saving message. When something vital is at stake, it is always the duty of leadership, even when a small minority or even alone, to take a stand against the storm. You're responsible. We are responsible for that. We don't hear about these kind of things. We just don't. And we have a place here in the primary purpose group where we discuss, especially on Sunday night, we bring out these tough topics and people don't understand singleness of purpose and leadership and all these different things. Here we can talk about them without an outside force pulling us away. Right? We don't have nobody saying, I just disagree with that, blah, blah, blah. Because you should just shut the hell up and don't say nothing. Right? That's what did happen. Right? And maybe there's a time to shut the hell up and not say nothing. By all means, and so to some degree, it takes prudence and prayer and humility. It takes humility. I can't have a vision of what I'm to stand up for without being plugged into the Creator. I just can't do it. Nothing can be more fatal to leadership than opposition. Usually, the opposition, it says in our literature, language of the heart, usually this opposition is powered by visionless pride. Visionless pride. I come to the meeting, I don't do nothing. I sit, and I'm like the damn hummingbird. Just sucking away at the damn meetings, and I don't have nothing to offer. And you want to get mad at us because we're coming here an hour early, and because we're setting up, and because these guys are getting asked to do these commitments and do treatment centers and all this different stuff. And so instead of being grateful, you get to hate me. And what I'm trying to say is you get resentful, and you get envious and jealous of it. And you hold it in and you hold it in until you cause a problem. Right? Usually powered by visionless pride. Sloth, neglect of duty, and the shame that comes with those. driven by resentment and jealousy. And we know that jealousy is the worst human emotion, right? So we've been given a set of principles. We have 12 steps that's outlined in the big book, right? You can work steps any way you want to work them. You can do them whatever way you're welcome to do them however you want. It's none of my business, right? But I'm going to tell you what becomes my business. What really bothers me is when I'm in a meeting and the new guy comes in crusty and busted and disgusted. And you can tell he's been through the ringer. And you've seen him in and out, and in and out, and in and out. And you tell him to take his time. What do you mean take your time? It is our responsibility, it's my responsibility to disagree with that. Meaning, it is my responsibility, I don't have to disrupt the meeting, and I don't have to be disrespectful by all means, but it's my responsibility to make sure that guy knows that if he takes his time, he might die. When it's my turn to share, it's my responsibility not to crosstalk, but to share my experience with that. I have to do that. Do I care about rocking the boat? Absolutely. But will I do it for the new guy? Absolutely. I don't want to be at odds with people. I don't want to be slandered. I don't want to face that kind of opposition that comes with that's the price to be paid. You're not going to take a stand for something worthwhile in life and not have any opposition. It's foolish to think that. It's going to happen. It's what it is. But what's more important? Me suffering some slander? I'm telling you, they've been telling me I'm going to try to beat the guy in the parking lot a couple weeks ago. Most of you guys have been to the PPG. I didn't try to beat nobody up. Maybe I got in an argument with somebody, but I'm not saying that's not possible, because it is. I sure didn't try to beat nobody up. But where'd that come from? Visionless pride, sloth, neglect of duty. Now, could I approach this individual and say, hey, why are you telling people this is crazy stuff? I'm not doing that. Why would I do that? Right? God's got me. God's going to take care of me. There's times in Alcoholics Anonymous, you're part of a home group, especially the home groups that seem to be the most, in my opinion, my experience, the home groups that seem to be the most powerful are the ones like family. When you have a brotherhood that you've heard about today, and you have people that are sharing life together in and outside the room, and they're carrying the message all over the place, it seems to be extremely effective. If I have a disease inside of me that's telling me I don't have to do what we have to do here to stay sober, it's in me. It's called alcoholism. It's constantly telling me that I don't gotta go. I don't gotta go to my home group. I ain't gotta pray no prayers every morning. I'll be alright. Ain't that what it tells us? It's in me. It's not went away. It's still there. What business do I got kicking it with a bunch of people who don't do or do what my alcoholism is telling me to do? What kind of insane idea is that? Right? And what I'm saying is, consequently, I'm not going to kick it with people like that. You know why? Because my sobriety is way too valuable to me. I've worked for it more than anything else in my life. Right? Not only is that the big consequence, but what about the people I might help in the next 10 years? What about the new guys who came in who need to hear a basement story so they can identify? That's on the line. And for that, I'm responsible. I'm going to read this. Leadership is often called upon to face heavy and sometimes long continued criticism. It is the acid test. It comes with it. It comes with it. It's the acid test. What's more important, what you think of me or the new guy being sober? What's more important? You can hate me all you want to. When I go to bed at night, I'm laying my head on a soft pillow because I know I did the right thing. Is it going to bother me that you lied about me? Or that you made slander about me? Of course it's going to bother me. I've certainly grown over the years when it comes to that. But I care way too much about your life and your sobriety than I do about anybody slandering me. And I'll stand alone if I got to for that. You see? I'm responsible to do that. Nowhere could this topic of leadership and toxic timidity, nowhere could this be more true than the area of the 12-step work itself. something at which nearly all of us most eagerly work. Do you most eagerly work at your 12 step? Every sponsor is necessarily a leader. The stakes are huge. A human life and usually the happiness of a whole family hangs in the balance. If you call me and you ain't doing good and you want me to co-sign it, you got the wrong guy. I'm not going to tell you you're doing good when you ain't, because your life is on the line. I've seen so many people die since I've been here. I mean so many. And so if you call me, or if I notice that I'm your sponsor, I already know you're not doing good. You don't even tell me. I'm just waiting on you to tell me. Eventually I'll get mad enough about it because I love you and I'll call you out on it. Hopefully it comes from within because it's more effective when it does. Right? A human life and usually the happiness of a whole family hangs in the balance. And so I heard a talk before that said, sometimes people come to Alcoholics Anonymous and they sign unworn death packs. That's how he put it. You don't tell me nothing I do wrong, and I won't tell you nothing you do wrong, and we'll both die together. I don't want to be held accountable. I want you to know. I want to be held accountable. How am I going to know what I don't know? I'm not. I must have people who are strong enough to be able to say, I'm a strong personality. I know that I am. I need people to be leaders enough to say, Mike, you're tripping. Mike, you know you're wrong. I need that. Why? My life's on the line. Maybe the happiness, I go home and be mean to Rachel because someone didn't tell me the truth. That's on you, damn it. All right. What the sponsor does and says, how well he estimates the reactions of his prospects, how well he times and makes his presentation, how well he handles criticisms, and how well he leads his prospect on by personal spiritual example. Well, these attributes of leadership can make all the difference, often the difference between life and death. Thank God that Alcoholics Anonymous is blessed with so much leadership in each and all of these great affairs. You guys, we're dealing with a disease that kills people. It's just what it is. Alcoholism will kill. It wants you to die. Right? It just does. There's no possible way that you're going to walk a spiritual life. The spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it, is our quote from our literature. There's no possible way that you're going to try to get close and snuggle up to this principle without facing opposition. There's no way. The good news is you never have to face the opposition alone, ever. You never have to do it alone. Sometimes there'll be misunderstanding. Sometimes people won't understand, but you never have to do it alone. You are going to face opposition. You are going to have to take a stand for what's right. Why? Because lives are on the line. You see? So maybe in different parts, and the good news is, the good and the bad news is that you can come to AA and do pretty much whatever the hell you want to do. It's a free society by all means. You see? And you're allowed to do that. 100%. But if you care, if you have any gratitude or grace inside of you from the pit that you've been rescued from, then you're going to take a stand. You're going to take a stand and you're going to try not to let anybody tarnish a perfect and simple program that rescues people from the yawning jaws of death. You are responsible. We are responsible for that. You see, it's our job. You see, it's not to be apathetic. It's not for me to take this love and tolerance to the next level of not even giving a damn. You see, I'm my own personality. Jack has a personality, bro. We have different personalities. You're not to hide your personality and be so cowardice that you hide it under the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous. Be yourself and be all that God had you to be. Just rocket into the fourth dimension. It's our job. See? So some AA and got solved. it may be, I sponsor a lot of guys, and some guys do better with kind of a gentle approach, right? That's fine. But we're responsible to take a stand and be leaders. I'd like to thank everybody for all they've done today, and I pass and I love you.
I just want to, wait, we got something else you want to say? Oh, never mind. We're not done. Jack's got something to say.
This is such a warm and wonderful way to do what we do. If we're recovered and we're armed with the facts about ourselves, and we have a true understanding of the steps and a true knowledge and experience with the steps, this is how I like to worship with the guy that I see. Yeah, I'm in my first 30 days of sobriety. I like to read him. Does your life sound anything like this? We were having trouble with personal relations. We couldn't control our emotional natures. We were a prey to misery and depression. We couldn't make a living. We had a feeling of uselessness. We were full of fear. We were unhappy. We couldn't seem to be a real help to other alcoholics, to other people. And I take him to, frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices. The message which can interest and hold these alcoholic types must have depth and weight. In nearly all cases, their ideals must be grounded in a power greater than themselves if they are to recreate their lives. How about it? Would you like to recreate your life? Who says no to that when their ass is falling off? So from there we go to page 62. We had to have God's help. This is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal. We are his agents. He is the Father. We are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we passed to freedom. When we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer. Being all-powerful, he provided what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. Established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. More and more, we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flow and as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. We were reborn. Extravagant promises, I think not.
I just want to thank everybody for showing up. Thank all the fellas that came out and spoke. What a big deal. What a big deal. Just to wrap it up on that topic, one thing comes to mind. The price of being a leader is being comfortable. That's the price. Oftentimes I got to deal with being uncomfortable to carry this message, not my message, this message. So without anything further from me and these guys, I want to thank you guys for a solid topic. Let's pray it out.
Circle up.
Yeah, it's the last one. Let's circle up.
Who's in the middle?
Yeah, Tootsie's on. Let's keep take a moment of silence. Remember the people still struggling right now. Keep them in your prayers. who keeps us sober.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory